jury declines to prosecute a woman who had a miscarriage because the judge decided to move forward with allowing her to be charged with a crime connected to the corpse of the miscarriage. This was an insane story that we brought you right here on Indisputable. Put up the picture full mass. A jury was able to do what the judge said he could not figure out. They dropped any opportunity at indictment for this. Per the AP, 34-year-old Brittany Watts, the Ohio woman facing a criminal charge for her handling of a home miscarriage, will not be charged following the grand jury decision on Thursday. The Trumbull County prosecutor's office said grand jurors declined to return the indictment for abuse of corpse against Watts, resolving a case that sparked national attention for its implications for pregnant women as states across the country hash out new laws governing reproductive health access in the wake of Roe v. Wade being overturned. The announcement came hours before about 150 supporters gathered for a, quote, "We Stand With Brittany" rally on Warren's Courthouse Square. The planned event meant to support Watts' case instead became an unexpected celebration. Watts was among several speakers who addressed the crowd. She said, and I quote, "I want to thank my community, Warren, Ohio. I was born here. I was raised here. I graduated high school here. And I'm going to continue to stay here because I have to continue to fight," she said. Watts' lawyer, attorney Tracy Timko, said the outpouring of correspondence, donations, and prayers from the public helped Watts endure the ordeal of being charged with a felony, punishable up to a year in prison. The attorney stating further in a quote, "No matter how shocking or disturbing it may sound when presented in a public forum, it is simply the devastating reality of miscarriage," end quote. Let me give you a recap of what happened. Watts had visited Mercy Health St. Joseph's Hospital. This is a Catholic facility in working class Warren. Twice in the days leading up to her miscarriage, her doctor had told her she was carrying a non-viable fetus. Non-viable fetus. And to have her labor induced or significant risk of death, according to the records of her case. This is all noted in her medical file. Due to delays and other complications, her attorney said, she left each time without being treated. After she miscarried, she tried to go to a hair appointment, but friends sent her to the hospital. A nurse called 911 to report a previously pregnant patient had returned reporting the babies in her backyard in a bucket. Now remember, this is not a baby, okay? This is fetal tissue, all right? It's not a baby. That called and launched a police investigation that led to the eventual charge against Watts. Put him up. Put up the prosecutor. Okay, so I'm going to give you the 1-2 combination of these old white males who decided to harm this woman who just had an extremely traumatic experience. Warren Assistant Prosecutor Louis Garnier told municipal court judge Terry Invanchuk that the issue was not, quote, how the child died, end quote, or when, but that the fetus was put in a toilet and was large enough to clog the toilet. Yeah, that's what he said the issue was for him, okay? Reports state after the toilet clogged, Watts removed some of its contents, the fetal tissue, to an outdoor trash area. She then left the house where the 22-week-old fetus, according to him, remained in the pipes. An autopsy determined, however, the fetus died in utero and identified no recent injuries, meaning the doctor who originally said non-viable fetus was correct. Attorney Timko told the judge that Watts, who had no criminal record, was being demonized for something that goes on every day, and also argued Ohio's abuse of court statute lacked clear definitions, including what is meant by human corpse. and what constitutes outrage and reasonable sensibilities. These are not bright line issues. These are subject to interpretation, which is sad. Put her up, okay? Ivanchuk found probable cause to bind over Watts' case. And I remember when this guy said the quote, "There are better scholars than I am to determine the exact legal status of this fetus, corpse, body, birthing tissue, whatever it is," end quote. Let's keep him up. This man said this. Now, so you mean to tell me, Judge, that the people in the grand jury, on the grand jury, who never went to law school are better legal scholars than you are because they decided unanimously that you're an idiot for even sending this case to them and declined to charge her? There's more. Put them up. Trumbull County prosecutor Dennis Watkins said in a statement, the county prosecutor, quote, "respectfully disagree with the lower court's application of the law." After their follow-up investigation, found Watts did what? Committed no crime. Let's go back to the judge. Even the prosecutor, Judge, says you're an idiot. Watts hopes her story can be an impetus to change, Timko said, through the education and legislation. Timko said, "We can make sure no other woman must set her grief and trauma on the back burner to muster the strength to fight for her freedom." You're talking about an individual who had a significant background of responsible behavior as it relates to the care, prenatal care of the child. You had a proper medical diagnosis in writing that said non-viable tissue is inside of you now. We're going to have to induce this in order to make sure there's no risk of death to you, okay? She has a miscarriage. She disposes of the fetal tissue that came from her body. These things are not abnormal. Happens across America, unfortunately, very often. But in this situation, the white male-dominated justice system decided to charge this woman with a felony. And if it had not been for a grand jury of regular citizens, this woman would be going to prison. All right, Rayyvana, thoughts here?
Yeah, well, I'll say that I am glad that the grand jury was sensible and that hopefully Brittany Watts is able to get on with her life now. But I mean, this story is the story of white men in the injustice system failing Brittany Watts, a Black woman, at every single step of the way. Yep. Also, a story of one overzealous worker at the hospital calling the police to investigate something that was not a crime scene. And I think there needs to be more investigation into whether or not that was inappropriate action by that worker at the hospital. But that aside, I want people to consider the chilling effect that this would have on women experiencing, if they were to have jailed her, and even this prosecution of her up to this point, the chilling effect it has on women experiencing miscarriages, that they might forego going to the hospital after having a miscarriage because they're afraid that they're going to be prosecuted, risking their lives in doing so. But also, many people who have miscarriages miscarry in public. So would those people who miscarry in public be required to scoop up whatever fetal tissue might have been deposited into the toilet and carry it with them? And what does it even mean to dispose of it properly? This was a despicable case, and I think it's really exemplified by the grotesque description given by the police officer, which includes him insinuating that she took a fetus and put it into the toilet, as opposed to what actually happened was that she miscarried while on the toilet, like thousands of other women across the country do every single year. This was, it seems like, targeted harassment of women and their bodies and reproductive justice, particularly coming after the citizens of the state voted to protect women's reproductive freedoms.
That's right, very well said. I am glad that this ended without additional legal entanglement, but it does create now an opportunity for the state to create a more exacting statutory law as it relates to this in the future.